Hello, and welcome to Wealth Health. My name is Terry Dean, and in this episode of Wealth Health, we'll be focusing on estate planning, primarily for individuals in the healthcare industry. Joining me are Tom Jerez and Sean Shadwell, certified financial planners and partners with the Premier Planning Group. Tom, let's start by asking the question, why should people be concerned about estate planning?
I think really the big thing is efficiency and privacy. Right. I'm not sure how many people want their affairs out there, and I'm not sure how many people want their family or loved ones struggling with getting their assets. Right. So if you don't have a proper estate plan, when your assets go to probate, now it's tied up in the court system. They determine how things pass, and it takes a lot of time, and also it's public record. So that's the big thing. For younger people, right, the big thing typically centers around kids, who watches over them, who handles their assets, things like that. So that's another thing that's very important is, if you don't have your estate plan in place, the people who are running your estate may not be who you want, who watches your children if you have them, may not be who you want. So while it's not always the most comfortable thing to talk about and can cause some disagreements amongst couples, it's obviously a very important thing to discuss.
Sean, when it comes to estate planning, how do taxes and asset protection enter into it?
That's a great question, Terry. So when you're trying to pass assets to the next generation, there are certain assets that can be passed on tax-free. There's a lifetime number that you can pass on to the next generation tax-free as well. And there are vehicles that you can use that can help with that. And that also ties into the protection piece. So with trust, and we can talk more about those in the next section, but with a trust, just like any of your assets, if something happened, and let's say you were sued, for example, if you have things tiled a certain way or in a certain kind of trust, those assets can't be touched, or most likely can't be touched if structured properly. And so by using an appropriate estate plan, have your beneficiaries designated appropriately, having trust potentially set up, that can help get money to the next generation more efficiently. And we have a great actual story with one of our clients. So in our office, there was a couple, it was their second marriage, both doctors, and he passed unexpectedly just not too long ago. And his wishes were for the majority of his assets to go to his children. They did not have beneficiaries titled correctly on different accounts. They didn't have their trust set up to accept the different accounts correctly. And so now the second wife is getting the majority of the assets, and it is up to her to decide if she's going to honor his wishes or if she's going to keep all those assets. So having your estate plan set up appropriately helps that money make sure it goes to where you want it to go once you're not here.
To make sure that your wishes are seen to.
Yes.
There's an expression that, whether you're checking into a hospital or planning your estate, it's a power of attorney. What exactly is a power of attorney, and how does that work, Tom?
Yeah, so the cliff notes on that are, if you are incapacitated, then this is the person who makes decisions on your behalf. That can be financial, it can be healthcare. There's a whole multitude of things, but it's the person who handles your affairs while you're still here, but not in a position to make those decisions. So we see that frequently, where maybe someone chooses their oldest child to do that, even though they're not maybe equipped to do that. So that's another thing too that we encourage our clients to put a lot of thought into as well, because it's obviously a big decision, and generally that person, in our experience, is responsible for settling an estate when someone passes. And if you choose the wrong person, it can muddy the water, so to speak.
In terms of choosing your beneficiaries, what considerations should come into that?
So to go with beneficiaries, and I'll put with this also to extend the power of attorney. So it's 2 points. One, with your power of attorneys, you want to make sure you have your will and living will set up. The will is for after you've passed, and that gives you the ability to write down who gets what out of your family or friends, out of your estate. And then within that, we have a living will. That goes with the power of attorney piece, because if you are, let's say, on life support in a hospital, even though the power of attorney is there to help make the decision, the living will says, if you want to stay on life support for, let's say, a significant period of time, or if you want to stay on life support for a week to see if you can come out of whatever your situation is. So that's an important document to have in case you're incapacitated in the hospital, to help the power of attorney actually make a decision. So going into the will and beneficiary, those are after the fact, once you have, moved on from this earth. The beneficiary piece typically is going to go kind of like to your spouse first, right? You want them to be able to continue on. And then from there, any family members, or, if you don't like your family, you can send it to your friends, charities. Those are all considerations to think, what kind of things do you want to fund with the assets that you have when you pass?
Thank you. Thank you for covering that. Estate planning, a very critical element. With that, we're going to wrap up this episode. We want to thank Tom Draz and Sean Chadwell, certified financial planners with the Premier Planning Group. Please join us for our next episode. In the meantime, this is Terry Dean, your host, reminding you to take care of the health of your wealth. Thank you.